We've been talking about a lot of bad teams.
A lot. Let's keep it going. Why not?
Right? We're going to keep it going. We talked about the Jets, the Giants, the Lions. Now we're going to talk about the Jaguars. They fired Urban Meyer.
Thank God.
Coincidentally, right after our show that we recorded, he got fired right after, so we didn't get to react to it. But instead of reacting to what happened, because everybody's done that already, who do you want to see coach the Jaguars next season?
There's 3 guys that stick out to me, and you might have named 1 or 2 of these last time we talked. The first one is Jim Caldwell. I think kind of similar to Dan Campbell, a culture setter, someone who's, been around the league for a long time, going to be respected in the locker room, someone who was in, a bad situation. Well, I guess when he was in Detroit, he had Stafford, so it wasn't like it was a bad team. But in Indy and in Detroit, he was 62-50. He had 3 10-win seasons. He went 11-5 his first year in Detroit. That's very impressive. Even if you do have a good team as a rookie head coach, being able to come in and get double-digit wins. But more than anything, I just want a new culture setter in Jacksonville. Urban Meyer culture wasn't in his vocabulary. He had no idea how to set, respect players. Players didn't respect him. He was out going at bars. We discussed all of it. We don't have to get into it. So his resume speaks for itself. He went 24-8 with Peyton, led the Colts to Super Bowl appearance. The resume is great, but what he brings as a leader, that's really what I think what I think the Jaguars are going to need. The second name that pops out to me is Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
Bieniemy's been someone who's been around the coaching, the head coaching hires for years now. He's had interviews. I know there's been rumors out there that he's not the best interviewer. For whatever reason, he just hasn't been able to get a head coaching job. But as the primary play caller, I know he has all the weapons in the world. He has Andy Reid. He has Mahomes. But with all the best weapons in the world and all of that, he's doing what's expected. Chiefs have the most points per game, most yards per game, and the best record since 2018. I forgot to put the year, but I want to say it was since 2018, since Mahomes, really took over. So now, not only, does his resume speak for itself statistically, but he's been learning under Andy Reid since 2013. He knows how a championship team should be constructed. Again, the culture, he knows how it should be built. And Reid's coaching tree has been pretty good. I mean, you have John Harbaugh, Ron Rivera, Sean McDermott. Those are the 3 that really highlight the bunch. All of those guys respected. All of them who've had great success, gone to Super Bowls. So I really think he's, not only a culture setter, but players seem to like him too. I know Deshaun Watson was someone who they wanted the Texans to interview. The Texans, being the Texans, didn't interview him, went in a different direction. And the last person that came to mind was Byron Leftwich. Not only because it comes full circle, the 7th overall pick for the Jaguars, he was
a 5th.
5th?
No, I'm playing.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know why. But yeah, former 7th overall pick by the Jags. He was pretty solid for them, as a player, but it'd just be really cool for him to come back and, a young head coach in Jacksonville, being able to learn under Bruce Arians for all these years. Someone who is a quarterback coach like Arians, another one who's going to bring culture to the locker room. Players are going to relate to him. Players are going to respect him. I think it's going to be great for Trevor Lawrence too. So those are the 3 names that stick out.
So I went a little bit outside the box, given the fact that I don't think this coach will be having a job next season. And this is Pete Carroll. I don't think that he will be the coach of the Seattle Seahawks next season. And I think that it would be a pretty good fit for him to come take over in the Jaguars. Whether he wants to do that or not, that's up to him. I don't know if that's what he wants. But if I'm the Jaguars, I try and make it my priority to go and bring this guy in. Now, offensively, I feel like if I'm the Jaguars, my main priority would be developing Trevor Lawrence. I want to bring in someone who I know can have success or has proven success in the league, can take an offense and make them a top 10 offense in the league, which he did with Russell. People can say, like me, that Russell is the reason why Pete Carroll was in such a great position. The reason why they won that Super Bowl was because of their defense, which is fair. But that defense got bad, and that offense only got better. And I'm going to give a little bit of credit to Pete Carroll, but I feel like the number one thing of why I want Pete to come in is because I want Trevor to have a coach that is going to instill confidence in him. And there is no better coach, arguably right now, that is going to instill confidence into a player that is going to be available than Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is I wouldn't say, because I do think Pete Carroll's a little bit overrated, but I feel like you just need to put him in a position with the head coaches that are going to be available this offseason. I don't love any of them to put my faith in them to develop Trevor Lawrence. We've seen Pete Carroll do it with a quarterback that was not nearly as highly regarded coming in with Russell Wilson. Now you give him a guy in Trevor Lawrence who has all the potential in the world to be a potential top 5. Listen, they're saying that he's the greatest prospect of all time. There should be no reason why I can't project him to be a future top 5 quarterback. From what he's shown me this year, it's going to take a huge stride next year to get him on that trajectory. But given the fact it is his rookie year, I'm going to cut him the benefit of the doubt. A potential top 5 quarterback in this league, you bring in a guy, Pete Carroll, that could just change morale in that head office, and I think it's possible that Pete Carroll could do that for Trevor Lawrence.
I have 3 names here. You mentioned one of them. You mentioned 2, actually. Byron Leftwich. I think he makes sense because he was drafted by the Jaguars with the 7th overall pick. He has some friends within that organization. But then again, I look at the Jaguars, and just this is just my my gut feeling. I drafted this guy, and he became a bust. Why am I gonna bring him in as head coach? That's just my evil thinking right there. But he was drafted in 2003. He was there for 4 years. He only lasted there for 4 years, so he was a bust. And he got beat out by David Garrard, who was
pretty good.
He was pretty good. I'm not saying he was good. I'm just saying, come on, you're the 7th overall pick. You shouldn't get beat out. Then after that, he really didn't do much. He didn't really get another opportunity anywhere else, but he was a Cardinals quarterback coach in 17 and 18. He's been the Bucs OC in 19 and 21. Kind of like Eric Bieniemy, he has that against him, though, that the Bucs are stacked. I mean, are you not supposed to have a good offense with Brady, Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski, and AB and all the other guys they have? Like, you're supposed to have a great offense. How is Leftwich going to look when he doesn't have a top offense? How is he going to look in Jacksonville? We don't know that. I only like him because he used to play quarterback, so that's going to be beneficial for Trevor Lawrence. Then I look at Jim Caldwell. He has a track record as a head coach, 62 and 50, 14 and 2 his first season, lost in the Super Bowl against Drew Brees, then 10 and 6 the very next year. Then his third year in Indianapolis, he went 2 and 14, but that's because Payne was hurt the entire year, and they were taking for Andrew Luck, and then they fired him after that year. I thought that was a bit unfair. Then as a Lions head coach, he has 3 winning seasons out of the 4 he was there. He gets fired because 9 and 7 wasn't good enough for the Lions, and with Patricia, they won 14 games in his tenure. And they were thinking 9 and 7 wasn't good enough. So when I look at Jim Caldwell, he finished top 10 in yards offensively 2 out of his 9 years coaching. He finished top 10 in points 4 times out of 9 years, and he finished top 10 in passing offense 4 times. That's okay. Then the other candidate I have is Doug Peterson.
Interesting.
This is one that's a bit tricky because Doug Peterson is 42, 37-1 as a head coach. He's won a Super Bowl, but he had a really good staff. Frank Reich was there, who he gets a lot of credit for Carson Wentz's development. And as an OC, he only ranked top 10 in yards once in 8 years. He finished top 10 in points 3 times. He finished top 10 in passing once. And the biggest mystery of them all, why was he fired from Philly? Why did Philly move off from him? Why did Carson Wentz regress under Doug Peterson? If I'm Jacksonville, I look at what he did and what he did to Wentz, and I kind of want him to stay away from Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I think Lawrence and Wentz are very similar players. And that was my pro comparison for Lawrence. So out of these coaches, I look at Caldwell, I look at Leftwich, I look at Peterson. Caldwell would be the no-brainer hire for me if he was younger. But he's 66 years old. He would be the 5th oldest head coach in the NFL. That's really old. How many years am I going to get out of this guy? Maybe like 5 if he lasts that long?
Yeah.
Leftwich is 41. So he can grow. If he pans out, he will grow together with Lawrence. Peterson is 53. He has time to grow with Lawrence. So, I think best case scenario, if I'm Byron Leftwich, if I'm the Jaguars, okay, we want you to be our head coach, but we want your staff to be comprised of guys who've been head coaches. Yep. We want Jim Caldwell on your staff. So I think Byron Leftwich makes the most sense because of his offensive resume, his connection to Jacksonville, and just because he played quarterback, I think that's going to help Lawrence tremendously.
For sure.
But they're all risks. None of these guys are no-brainer hires. Like, that
doesn't really exist, though.
I thought Mike McCarthy was a no-brainer hire for me when he went to Dallas, yeah.
Oh.
But I actually want him to go to the Giants. But I thought he was a no-brainer
But even
hire.
still, looking back on it, I guess Dak was hurt last year, and this year they were playing pretty well, but it's not like he's been a home run, I would say.
The number 2 seed in the NFC. Give him a break.
That's fair. Let's see what they do in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty good in the playoffs. We'll see.
And
See,
last
you
year,
guys
though,
a pretender.
last year there was a lot
I
of
said
talk about
50-50.
McCarthy.
Fair
I
enough.
said they're contenders.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think if I'm the Jaguars, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm probably going after Byron Leftwich. But Jim Caldwell to me makes the most sense. It's just his age is kind of making me weary.
I just think that the culture set are so bad that like I don't really care that much about his age. You know what I'm saying? Like just get someone in there who's going to turn the organization around, who's going to put trust and confidence in Trev. And if he really pans out, and 5 years from now you're like, we have this great head coach, but he's 71. Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like.